السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول النبي الكريم. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: من انقطع إلى الله كفاه الله مؤنة ورزقه من حيث لا يحتسب، ومن انقطع إلى الدنيا وكله الله إليها. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم، ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Respected friends and elders, last week we spoke about the importance of earning halal. We spoke about the importance of making the proper intention when earning money, when earning a livelihood. We spoke about how important it is to earn a halal livelihood, and that it's completely permissible to earn large amounts of money, despite what others may think. In Islam, it's perfectly fine to earn money so long as it's used in the proper direction, it's used in the proper way. And so last week I mentioned that hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll be speaking about the Barakah in Rizq, how to attain Barakah in Rizq. Right? So the fact is that everyone wants to get rich, right? Everyone wants to make money. Now, making money is relatively simple in the sense that you can make money, you can hoard it, you cannot spend it in the right avenues, and you can earn through haram avenues as well, and you'll amass large amounts of wealth. You'll amass large amounts of wealth. But the problem is that wealth will not have barakah. And this concept of barakah is important for us to understand. What is barakah? Right? Barakah, to explain it by using an example, is, let's say someone earns millions of dollars. They earn millions of dollars. But after earning millions of dollars, many of it, a large portion of it goes to lawsuits, a large portion of it goes to medical bills, right? And so on and so forth. They have many liabilities, right? Many problems they have due to lack of barakah. And so because, although they're earning large amounts of money, they don't have barakah in their rizq. And so that person, either they're going through financial difficulties by means of lawsuits, or they're going through health difficulties in their health, means of their medical bills and hospital bills and so on and so forth. Right? So there's no barakah in that person's rizq. And that person not having barakah in the rizq leads to most of that wealth not being utilized or not being appreciated, or most of that wealth not holding its value. Most of that wealth goes away. And so it's important that we learn and understand what barakah is, and we try to apply these in our lives. And so today I'll be giving away all of the secrets. We all want to hear about the secrets of earning wealth and getting rich. Today I'll be giving all of that away, very simply, and we'll find it in the scope of Sharia. We'll find it in the scope of the light of Islam. Again, understand, if a person earns, for example, $100, and they go out and they leave this parking lot and they get into an accident, and let's say, again, $100 is figurative, right? And so let's say out of that 100, 50 of it goes away, and they're forced to spend that amount of money because of that accident. And because of that accident, they have health issues, which leads them to lose another 25. And maybe they also cause issues to the other car that also forces them to lose a portion of their money. So by the end of it, they lose the entire 100. Whereas on the other hand, a person has barakah, Allah Ta'ala blesses that individual, and with that $100, they're able to utilize the full 100 to whichever avenue they desire, whichever avenue they need to use it. So that's how important barakah is. It's important for us to understand barakah and for us to try to bring barakah in our lives. I'll give you an example of barakah from the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So we all know this famous Sahabi. His name is Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, his mother gave him to the Prophet ﷺ when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, She went to the Prophet ﷺ, she said, Ya Rasulullah, this boy is 10 years old and I want him to serve you. The greatest of jobs or professions is that you serve the Prophet ﷺ. So she gave him to the Prophet ﷺ. She said, please accept him and allow him to serve you. So for the entire duration of Rasulullah ﷺ staying in Medina, Anas radiallahu anhu, he served him. So you can imagine for 10 years, Anas radiallahu anhu, he learned from the Prophet ﷺ, benefited, and those are the prime years, right? Those are the prime years. And as a young boy, he's learning everything, he's absorbing everything from the Prophet ﷺ. And so those 10 years he spent with the Prophet ﷺ, inshallah, one day I'll speak about all of the advices that the Prophet ﷺ gave to Anas radiallahu anhu. There are many advices. The Prophet ﷺ speaks to him like his own son. The Prophet ﷺ didn't have the son who remained, right? And so he advises him as his own son. And inshallah, I'll speak about it another day. So Anas radiallahu anhu, he would serve the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ would frequently visit and move around the house, and come and leave the house of Anas radiallahu anhu. So one day he made some dua for the family, and his mother asked, Ya Rasulullah, make dua for your young khadim here, your young servant here. Make some dua for him. So the Prophet ﷺ, he raises his hands and he makes dua. Allahumma akthir malahu wa walada. Allah increase him in his wealth and his children. Wa atil hayatahu wa aghfir lahu. And give him a long life and also forgive him. So three dua essentially, right? Increase him in his wealth and children. Second is give him a long life. And third is that forgive him. And so Anas radiallahu anhu, he himself, he mentioned that Allah Ta'ala gave me such barakah in my wealth that everyone would find the produce, right, the vegetation, they would find it once a year. Right? Their crops would yield results once a year. But Anas radiallahu anhu, he says that my crops would produce results twice a year. So you can imagine double he would receive. Not only that, so his wealth, he was blessed in his wealth. Then we find his own children as well. Anas radiallahu anhu himself had about 80 children. His own children, not grandchildren, great-grandchildren, no. Himself, 80 children. So again, this is like an empire. It's like an army on his own. You talk about football fields and you want to talk about filling all of the stadiums, and this was him. 80 kids just by himself. SubhanAllah. And so there's so many jokes, right? But I'll leave them for later. But so Allah Ta'ala blessed him with so much wealth and so many children, mashallah. Not only that, Allah Ta'ala gave him a long life. Again, this is the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We find the barakah in this. That Allah Ta'ala gave him a long life to the point. Some scholars, they mentioned that he lived either 99 or 103 years old. About 100 years old he lived. And he was the last Sahabi to pass away. Or one of the last Sahaba to pass away. And so this Anas radiallahu anhu, he says that Allah Ta'ala accepted the dua of the Prophet in regards to all of these other things. And I hope that he'll accept the dua in regards to forgiveness as well. And I hope that Allah Ta'ala will forgive me as well. So this was the result of the dua of the scholars. They mentioned this was the result of the dua of the Prophet for him, for barakah in his wealth, his children, and his life. So this is how important barakah is. This is how important that you and I, we need to understand. And so there are many, many ways to achieve and attain barakah in a person's rizq. And I've compiled a list of 15 different ways to attain barakah. And this, of course, we will not finish today, right? This will probably go over the next possibly three, 4 Jummahs, inshallah. So this will be the part 1 of this series, inshallah. And so it's important that we make this intention that every single thing that's being said, we'll make amal on it, we'll practice on it. Why? Because we all want to get rich, we all want to make money. This is a very selfish reason, right? But if we just attain and if we just simply align our intentions, inshallah, you'll get rewarded for it as well. And so the first concept or the first way to attain barakah in a person's rizq, a person's money, is to, in general, to do a lot of good deeds. Now, these are very simple things. I'm not going to give you complicated things. You don't have to donate to the masjid specifically, that then you'll get money or get rizq. There are many different ways. And so the first is to do all forms of khayr, all forms of good deeds. We find that Rasulullah quotes Allah Ta'ala, and it's a hadith al-Qudsi, where Allah Ta'ala says, Ibn Adam, تفرق لعبادتي أملأ صدرك غنى. He says that, O son of Adam, free yourselves or make time for my ibadah, for my worship, and I will fill your heart, and I will fill your sadr, I will fill your heart with riches. And at the same time, I will remove and I'll close the door of poverty on you. I'll close the door of poverty. I will not allow you to become poor. Again, make time for my worship. This is the hadith Qudsi. Allah Ta'ala is saying, make time for my worship, and I will open up your heart, and I will fill your heart with riches. Meaning, Allah Ta'ala will make us content, inshallah. At the same time, Allah Ta'ala will physically make us rich as well. Allah Ta'ala will give us that wealth. And so that's one. وَإِلَّا تَفْعَلْ مَلَأْتُ يَدَيْكَ شُغْلًا وَلَمْ أَسُدَّ فَقْرًا. On the other hand, a person who doesn't do this, a person who doesn't make time for Allah Ta'ala, the person who doesn't make time for the worship of Allah Ta'ala says that, listen, if you don't do this, I will fill your hands. I will busy your hands. I'll make you busy with problems. I'll fill your hands with problems, and وَلَمْ أَسُدَّ فَقْرًا, and I will not close the door of poverty. Meaning, you'll have problems, and it's possible. You may even, go into bankruptcy or, poverty. And so this is the first step. That you and I, we need to spend time worshiping Allah Ta'ala. We need to take out time. Of course, everyone is busy. Every single person is busy. Whether they're truly busy or they claim to be busy. Everyone's busy. But you and I, we need to take time out of our busy lives for the worship of Allah Ta'ala. And if we do this, we'll find the blessings of Allah. If we don't do this, we'll find that we'll remain busy. You will remain busy, but it'll be in the wrong things. Allah Ta'ala will keep you busy. You'll see that years pass. Years will pass, but you'll remain the same. You will not find that barakah in your life. And so, this is extremely important. Now, the first part where Allah Ta'ala says that, make yourself available, this doesn't mean that you only exclusively worship Allah Ta'ala. Right? It doesn't mean that you only leave yourself for the worship of Allah Ta'ala. As we mentioned last week, Imam Ghazali's statement, Imam Ghazali's quotation of Isa alayhi salam, where a person who goes out to work is better than the person who sits down only exclusively in the masjid and worships Allah Ta'ala. Meaning that the person must also do both. It's not that you sit in the masjid and you ask Allah Ta'ala for rizq and you don't do anything about it. Instead, you must do both. You must fulfill your obligations. Your obligation of worship of Allah Ta'ala and your obligation towards your work and your responsibilities towards that. So it's not that you only sit here in the masjid and you abandon everything. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you do i'tikaf for life in the masjid. No. You spend time in the masjid, you also spend time at work. You do both. Not one or the other, but you do both. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he mentions that regarding doing good things, he says, Inna lil hasanati diya'an fil wajh. He says that when you do a good deed and doing good, it becomes apparent and this illumination comes on the face. A person, you'll see that the person's face is illuminated. It becomes bright because of the good deeds. At the same time, وَنُورًا فِي الْقَلْبِ, and that person has nur in their heart. Allah Ta'ala brings nur in their hearts. So the person who does good deeds, Allah Ta'ala illuminates their face. Right? It's not only the oil, it's not only the lotion, but it's illumination. That's what Allah Ta'ala blesses an individual with. And also that person's heart is illuminated, nur in his heart. وَسِعَةً فِي الرِّزْقِ. The third is that he finds an abundance in sustenance. Allah Ta'ala increases in his sustenance. وَقُوَّةً فِي الْبَدَنِ. Allah Ta'ala gives him physical strength as well. Again, all the people who love going to the gym, this is for you. You do good deeds and Allah Ta'ala will put that barakah in all of these avenues. And وَمَحَبَّةً فِي قُلُوبِ الْخَلْقِ. And the love of that individual in the hearts of the people. This is a statement of Abdullah ibn Abbas. He says that the person who does good deeds, these things will happen to him. These 5 things. One is that his face will be illuminated. Second, nur in his heart. Third, he'll find abundance of rizq. Fourth, he'll be physically strong. Allah Ta'ala will make him physically strong. And Allah Ta'ala will put the love of that individual in everyone's heart. Everyone wants these things, right? Everyone wants good health. Everyone wants to be strong. Everyone wants to have an abundance of money. Everyone wants to have nur in their hearts and their face. If we do good deeds, this is the result. If we abandon good deeds, if we abandon our prayers, if we abandon our zakat, if we are not fulfilling our responsibilities to Allah Ta'ala, then you will not find any of these things. So on the other hand, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he continues, he says, وَإِنَّ لِلسَّيِّئَةِ سَوَادًا فِي الْوَجْهِ وَظُلْمَةً فِي الْقَلْبِ. He says, the sins, they create darkness in the face, darkness in the heart. وَوَهْنًا فِي الْبَدَنِ. Weakness and laziness in the body. Person becomes weak, lethargic, person becomes lazy. وَنَقْصًا فِي الرِّزْقِ. That person's rizq goes down. He finds deficiencies in his rizq. And وَبُغْضًا فِي قُلُوبِ الْخَلْقِ. And he finds hatred for himself in the hearts of the people. You'll find that people don't like him. Why? Because he is doing bad. He's committing sins against Allah Ta'ala. But Allah Ta'ala, the side effects of those sins are these. The results of committing sins are these 5 things. You'll find the darkness in the person's face and heart. You'll find that the person, he's weak, he's lazy, he can't do much. You'll find that a person, he is stringent, he doesn't have much money. SubhanAllah, believe me, wallah, I've seen this. SubhanAllah. And of course, that person will not be liked amongst the people. This is the result and the consequence of not doing good deeds, instead doing sins. This is how important it is to maintain a good balance between your a'mal and ensuring that you are doing fulfilling your obligations, no matter where you may be, no matter whether you're at work, whether you're at school, wherever you may be, you're fulfilling your obligations to Allah Ta'ala. Like it's time for salah, you pray your salah. It's time to give zakat, you give your zakat. It's time to fast, you fast. These are uncompromisable. You cannot compromise on these things. You must do these things. These are things that we cannot compromise on. If you do good, you'll see it, not only in yourself, but around you. If you do bad, you'll see it, not only in yourself, but also around you. The scholars, they mention, when we commit sins, we find our families also disobeying us. We find our wives and our children also disobeying us and being disrespectful to us. So when we look at the root cause of all of these problems, what is it? It's because of the disobedience of Allah Ta'ala. Why are we going through so many problems? Whether physically, our own bodies, we're going through so many problems. We're finding that you're not compatible with others. People don't like you. Why is it? Because of these sins. So it's important that we realign our focuses and we turn to Allah Ta'ala and we do good deeds. Because it's important. If we do good deeds, we'll find all these barakah. And if we don't do it, we'll find all of these evils. This is number 1. This is the first. The first source of barakah in our rizq, in our lives, is to do all forms of good. The second is to maintain taqwa, to have the consciousness of Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. He says that the one who's conscious of Allah Ta'ala, who fears Allah Ta'ala, who's always aware that Allah Ta'ala is watching me. Whether I'm alone, whether I'm with people, no matter where I may be. Maybe no one is here. Maybe no one from the masjid is seeing me right now. Maybe the imam, no one is seeing me right now. But Allah Ta'ala is definitely seeing me. And so the person who's conscious of Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala will يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Allah Ta'ala will make him a way out. He'll make him a way out from every single problem. And at the same time, وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And Allah Ta'ala will bless him. Allah Ta'ala will give him rizq from avenues where he cannot even imagine. From places he cannot even think. Allah Ta'ala will give him sustenance. Allah Ta'ala will give him rizq. He couldn't imagine that he would get money from this place. Allah Ta'ala will give him money. Why? Because of the consciousness of Allah Ta'ala. Because of the taqwa of Allah Ta'ala. Because you're conscious of Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala will remove all of the problems and Allah Ta'ala will bless you with so much sustenance from avenues you will not even think about. Allah ibn Kathir rahmatullah alayhi, he quotes a story. Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu, he was sitting and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he read these ayat to him. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, O Abu Dhar, لو أن الناس كلهم أخذوا بها كفتهم. He said, O Abu Dhar, if everyone took these advices, if everyone took these words and they were conscious of Allah Ta'ala, it would suffice them. But the problem is we don't care. We listen to these words and goes to one ear and comes out the other. And we're not thinking about the barakah in our rizq. We're not thinking about Allah Ta'ala. We're not conscious of Allah Ta'ala. And so that's where all of our money is going away. We receive that loss in barakah because we're not conscious of Allah Ta'ala. Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he says that the ayah which brings the most joy of the entire Quran is this ayah. The ayah which brings the most joy and the most relief, right, is this ayah. He said, إِنَّ أَكْثَرَ آيَةٍ فِي الْقُرْآنِ خَرَجَ وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَل لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. The one who, this ayah brings the most joy, the most relief to everyone. This should bring the most relief and joy. That all I need to do is be conscious of my Allah. All I need to do is be aware of my Allah. And Allah Ta'ala will make everything easy for me. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says that the one who fears Allah Ta'ala, the one who is conscious of Allah Ta'ala, Allah Ta'ala will yunjihi min kulli karb, fi dunya wal akhirah. Allah Ta'ala will save him from all different problems of the dunya and the akhirah. Amazing, amazing. Doing good deeds, being conscious of Allah Ta'ala does not only affect the akhirah, but it also affects the dunya. So the one who is conscious of Allah Ta'ala, Allah will remove all the problems of the dunya and in the akhirah. This is the meaning of يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا, that Allah Ta'ala will make a way out for him. So my dear respected friends and elders, these 2 points, right? I've done 2 out of 15 so far. We'll get through it, inshallah, no worries. Even if it takes a month, we'll go through it, inshallah. Slowly, we'll go through all of these. And the intention is that we should learn and practice on these. That I should increase in all forms of good. I should stop doing bad. I should be conscious of Allah Ta'ala. Why? Because if I do it, I'll find the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala. I'll find ease and comfort in this dunya. Do it for yourself. Do it for selfish reasons. Do it so that you have an easy life in this dunya and in the akhirah. And believe in the words of Allah. Believe in the words of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. These are authentic ayat. These are authentic ahadith. We must follow these ahadith. We must follow these ayat. And if we do, we'll find the blessings of Allah Ta'ala in our sustenance. We'll find the blessings of Allah Ta'ala in our health. We'll find the blessings of Allah Ta'ala in our wealth. If we do this. If we don't do this, we'll find the problems in our health. We'll find problems in our wealth. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq to understand and practice. Allah Ta'ala allow us to build that consciousness of Allah Ta'ala, and Allah Ta'ala allow us to do all forms of good. Allah Ta'ala increase us in our rizq, in our halal rizq. Allah Ta'ala continue to assist one and all. Jazakumullah khairan wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah. Once you stand up for the sunnah, please move forward and fill in the gaps so that there's space for everyone, inshallah.